Hello, Cube community. My name is Shane Walker, founder and CEO of Cube Money, and I'm excited to be with you today. Um, and today, the title of this live event is Desire Equals Passion, and Passion Equals Life. Because the truth is we've designed Cube Money to create intentional spending, mindful spending. But Cube Money can't help you determine the person that you want to be. And so we're going to go into like saying yes to the life that you really want, a life of passion, a life of purpose. And that's what we all want, right? And so, but before I jump into that, just a really quick revisit last time, we talked about how to guarantee your path to becoming a millionaire. And that is done through one simple thing, and that is consistently saving 20% of your household income for long term goals. And I've watched people who do not make very much income, $30,000, $25,000 a year, that consistently do that through their lives, and they're millionaires today. As well as obviously those that are in the higher income areas. So you will guarantee yourself that you'll become a millionaire if you will simply save 20% of your household income on a consistent basis, month after month after month. And we also talked about the 4 steps, the order of wealth, the 4 steps to becoming wealthy. And that is that 20% should first go to saving a $2,500 emergency fund. Second, to eliminating your debt. Third, to save a 1 year of household income. And then 4, to invest wisely. And we talked about indexed funds, low cost index funds that expose you to the whole market. And it's great to work with an advisor for your individual needs. Okay. So that is the fact that guarantees that you'll become a millionaire. In fact, for most income levels, if you do that from the age of 45, like me, to age 65, you'll still become a millionaire. And that's incredible. Okay. And the only way to consistently save is to follow a plan for your money. And so if you're going to follow a plan for your money, you might as well create a plan that creates the life of passion that you want. Okay, so that brings us to the topic of today's live event. So desire equals passion, and passion equals life. The fact is, we all want a life filled with passion. So how do we get there? And it's actually pretty simple. You simply define your desires and live with intent in pursuit of them. That's it. Okay? So in the words of James Clear, my favorite book, Atomic Habits, he says, define the person you want to become and then prove it to yourself through small daily wins. Okay? And I've spent my career studying money and how people interact with it. And to me, it's extremely fascinating because I see money as it's literally a window into who you are. And why, what is important to us. And so the fact is all of us have to interact with money to exist in this world. If we're adults, right? If we're adults, we have to use money, interact with money to exist. And so money is a critical part of this desire equals passion, and passion equals life. It is an essential aspect. So what we all want, is to use our money in a way that creates a fulfilling, passionate life. So, but here's the problem, okay? the fact is everyone wants your money. In fact, powerful marketing algorithms track your every move so that they can get your money from you, right? And our world is designed to make spending effortless and automatic. And businesses, banks, credit card companies, that's how they make money. It's from that behavior, all right? So the result of that, all of that, is mindless spending. And mindless spending is an exact opposition to what we want, to living a life with intention in pursuit of our desires. Okay. So that's exactly why we created Cube Money, to give you the ability to spend with intention. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this live event, Cube Money can help you spend with intention, but Cube Money doesn't help you define the person that you want to become. So my goal today is to help you to define that person, because we live in this microwave society where we literally have entertainment at our fingertips. And because of that, many of us don't ever really stop to reflect on what it is we really want. And if we don't know what we want, then we aren't living out our desires. Consequently, we live a passionless life. And what kind of life is that? Right? It's not the kind of life that you or I want to live. Okay, so if you could bring up the PowerPoint now. Oh, it is up. Okay, perfect. So here's one simple question that can get you on the road to determining what you really want in life. Okay, and that is, if you were to die tomorrow, how do you want to be remembered by those you love the most? And as you consider that question, I actually want all of you to write that down. And by this weekend, I want you to spend some time really thinking and journaling answers to this question. And some simple add-on questions would be: who are those most important people, or those people that you love? Okay, because connection and connection with human beings is a fundamental part of our desires and creating a passionate life and a healthy life. Okay, and then second is most of us have responsibilities. We all have responsibilities in our lives. What are those responsibilities, and how do we want to show up in those responsibilities? And those things will help us determine, like, if we were to die tomorrow, how do we want to be remembered by those we love most? Okay, to help us determine what kind of person we want to be. And as you then reflect on, okay, if that's the person I want to be, how does that relate to money? Okay, and I want to just share, Gallup pulled 450 Americans, okay, in 2010, and they found that the control of one's time is what brought people the greatest sense of well-being. Really interesting, isn't it? So the ability to autonomy with our time, the ability to control our time, is what we really want. The interesting thing about that is whenever we purchase something, we're actually giving away a portion of that autonomy. And so there is definitely this balance of spending money today to create memories that will last with us forever, that create enjoyment. And that's important, while balancing ensuring that we have a bright future, ensuring that we have money set aside if something were to happen, or and for our long-term goals. So there is definitely this balance. But oftentimes we will confuse, like, creating this image from pressures to the outside world, what we want them to think about us, instead of who we really want to be. Because the fact is through social media, we see what everyone else wants, whatever what everyone else has. Excuse me, and there's always somebody that has a bigger lifestyle, and there's never enough money to become what the world says you should be, to be what the world says you should be. And so it's an ever, like, I've got this car, but I want this car. I live in this house, but I want to live in this house. And there's always more. And I was actually talking to a financial advisor the other day who's worked with thousands and thousands of clients. And there were two things that were shared. And I think I shared this last time. But one is, the happiest people, happiest clients are those who are content, that are happy with what they have. And that's very powerful. And I'm actually going to share one other. Do I have that up? I don't have it up. Next time I'll share a powerful quote. But our happiness is dependent upon our removal of envy in our lives, which is really true. And I was reading a book, and they shared, like, for example, having that car that everyone envies. Okay, so let's say a Ferrari. If you saw a Ferrari, do you remember the owner that owned the Ferrari, or do you, like, remember the car? And the truth is, for me, I don't even remember what the person looked like that owned the car. I really was looking at the car and admiring the car. And so I think that's super interesting, because we buy the car because we want to create this image, but yet the people don't even remember who owns the car. Okay, so as you're creating a plan around who you want to become, just remember that the thing that most people really want, and I think that if you self-reflect, what you really want is the autonomy with your time. And how does wealth relate to what you do with your time? And how can the pursuit of wealth limit your choices of what you do with your time? Okay, because if you spend all your time, I also know somebody, a really good friend, that works in hospice. And when people are dying, they never wish they would have worked more and that they would have made more money. What they wished is that they would have nurtured the relationships that were most dear to them. And so as you're creating this plan, just remember those things, like, who is it that you really want to be? Not the pressure that the world is putting on you, but who is it that you really want to be? And as you put yourself forward, like, if you were to die tomorrow, and you're looking back at your life, what are you most proud? What do you want to be most proud of, and how do you want to be remembered? Okay. So then 3, how do you want money to help you become the person you want to be? So now, once you've defined that person, it actually becomes quite simple to develop a financial plan that aligns with who you want to be. And building that spending plan, if you go to cubemoney.com and log in, or if you don't have a login, there's actually, try it out. You can go to the planning screen or the playground, if you're not yet a member of Cube Money, and you can then put in your household income, and you can create a plan. And a part of that plan, if you'll put away 20% of your income for long-term goals, then you'll guarantee that you'll be a millionaire. And you'll create that time freedom, the autonomy with your time, that creates the greatest well-being for the majority of people. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to desire equals passion, and passion equals life. And we simply, if you'll simply define your desires and live with intention in pursuit of those desires, you'll create the life of joy and passion that you really want. And it's time to say yes to your dreams and goals, to say yes to the life you really want. And money is a daily need to create that life. It's something that we have to behave with on a daily basis, to a fundamental part of um, behaving on a daily basis to create that life of passion that we all want. And so, with that, I am going to stop sharing and open this up for any questions relating to this. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the next event that's going to take place the 1st of June. And this will be a direct announcement about Cube Money, the direction of Cube Money. And I'm super excited and already preparing for this event that will take place the first Thursday. I actually don't remember the exact date, but we will be sending out emails, social media posts, and really driving momentum. We want all of the community to come to this event the first Thursday of May. I'm sorry, of June. I might have said May before too, but I meant June. So are there any questions? There may not be. So I'm just going to finish off with this by saying that I am like, I'm super passionate about this topic, because so often we just go through life and exist and mindlessly spend. Um, it's human nature to follow the path of least resistance that doesn't create a life of passion and purpose. But when we begin to live with intention, we have mindfulness about our lives. Oh man, life can be incredible. And it is really what we all want. And the whole purpose of Cube Money is to create that mindfulness around money. And the reason it's called mindful banking is because budgeting is important and it's good. But because it looks at spending in the past, and because there's a constant need of effort to reconcile it with what's actually happening with your money, it's difficult. It lacks the power to change behavior for most people. But when you bring in like mindfulness in simply the way you bank, it changes everything. And it creates this purposeful living with money that can create the life that you really want. And again, I say, everyone, you want to spend money and save money in a way that expresses your values and your goals, expresses the life that you really want to create. And as James Clear said, it creates this simple system to prove that that you indeed do want to become that person by the way you spend your money on a daily basis. So, and I think that that's super incredible. And because of that, Cube Money will change your home. It will strengthen your relationships. It will increase your self-confidence, and thus your. So, with that, we're going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate everyone being with, and hopefully, many of you watch this recording. But again, by the end of the week, ask yourself, how do I want to be remembered by those that I love? And define the person you want to be. And then once you know who you want to be, then create a plan with your money that aligns with that person. And that balances spending money today to build memories that will last a lifetime while saving for the future to guarantee a bright future. And every one of you can become a millionaire simply by following a plan and putting away 20% of your income. Have a great day. Thank you.